Sometimes I feel like I'm dragged into these video topics. Like, I don't necessarily want to or have anything constructive to add to the conversation, but I feel as if I don't talk about it or let it off my chest, I'm just going to implode, explode, take it out on somebody else. Ladies and gentlemen, what am I talking about? Well, looks like the world leaders have collectively taken a U-turn. I'm talking like Bill Gates, now Hillary Clinton, Obama, the UK. Well, the UK leadership under Keir Starmer, like they're very staunch and stubborn on their. Well, let's just be honest. Like they're taking backdoor deals. They're getting money for this. Like there's no other way around it other than me seeing that. Like the guy let in Axel Cabana, who, if you actually look up what he did, the charges and like the specifics of it, it's pretty. It's messed up. It's like, how do you how do you live, right? Like hating someone who you've never spoken to in your entire life so much that you would stab them like 80 to 100 times. Like little girls too. And like you can argue that like he was like a kid himself. No, he wasn't. He's just like he was malnourished. He was like, whatever, from a third world country coming through from Rwanda and stuff. And then like he got captivated, he got galvanized by the whole Islamic cultism, and now we're beginning to see like the end result of it. Like to this day, Hassan and his whole crew are still downplaying the whole Iran situation, even though the death toll has exceeded that of Palestine or the Palestinians or whatever. They have their state now, so I could say that. So it's exceeded that of Palestine because their selective outrage is just bullshit. Because okay, going back to the UK, right? I want to be enthusiastic. I want to be optimistic about the new change in leadership. But do I have to state the obvious? You're gonna need a civil war, dude. You're gonna need a hardcore civil war. These people have bombs, improvised explosive devices like the bombs that they make. I think with pressure cookers or something like that. And you want to know what the worst part is? The politicians basically let them in the country. Like guys, like let them flood the country. So they have more or less a militaristic, fighting aged force up in your nations. And if you said everybody was saying something about it, but if you said something about it, and when people said something about it, the racist accusations were thrown out at nauseum. And slowly and surely, the adults are coming to the table and realizing what a grave mistake they've, air quotes, made. No, they didn't make the mistake. They did it on purpose. There's no mistake. It was for money. It was for, political leanings. It was for whatever. It was just to piss the other person off, the other side off. Like if you can't win, nobody wins type of ordeal. And I really want this Rupert Lowe guy to work out for the people of the UK. And I'm like wondering, well, where are you guys gonna find the manpower to deport these people? Like think about that for a second. Like we're talking about in the multiple millions here. Possibly in the hundreds of millions. We don't even know. Like with the amount of crossings that have happened, and like their end destinations were like basically two places, and it was like their white girl obsession basically, which led them there, which was subsequently the UK. Some would argue France, Italy, by extension. Some of them post like up in Spain, like I think 500,000 Pakistanis came through to Spain, all fighting age males and shit. And if you're like, you have to, according to the president, prime minister, the fucking retard that is, like, yo, these people need to be beaten the fuck up. Like, they need to get their fucking, faces smashed in. Like, it's at some point where you're like, this wouldn't be this big of a deal, this much of a problem, if these fucking cocksucking, politician scumbags didn't let him in, like, with absolutely no background checks, no ratio, no justification. Okay, we're just gonna let in a bunch of guys from, like, around this specific age category and shit, and they literally just like fucking cause havoc for the entire population. And like, girls are like literally like crying and complaining. They're like, I'm getting like, stalked and harassed every day. I saw this one fucking hilarious YouTube video short of this Muslim guy. He's like praying to a woman. I'm serious. It's like fucking, he's like so horny and shit. These guys are fucked in the head, dude. What the fuck were these politicians thinking? And what the fuck, like, yeah, and they're having a laugh at the adults, right? They think they can get away with it. They're gonna have a laugh at it. Nah. What do you think? What do you think is gonna happen, dude? They're gonna get sick one day, right? One by one, and they're gonna want something. Except upon deaf ears, what can be given? It's just ticking realization that the inevitability that AI was going to replace the vast majority of people on this planet, and that you have to be honest with yourself. And one of the other reasons why I'm making this video is I've noticed like this trend around Halloween. Sorry, Halloween. Where the fuck is my mind? This hot ass girl that I was looking at. She reminds me of Halloween. No, for real. Uh, like this trend around Valentine's Day, and I kind of noticed it. It was like a prelude to it in the coming months, and I think it all started off with Kakash and Jasleen, and it was like so prolific, and then so talked about that, like the fame, the infamy of it was tantalizing, appealing, like the internet attention that you would get from it. So it was like you got all these, I guess, copycat girls who wanted to like make their mans kiss the fucking dirt, man. One after the other. And like, dude, I'm not gonna get into specifics of it because, I actually teared up. I was watching this one guy I used to watch back in the day when I had like, I don't know, this like anonymous YouTube channel, and like before I rebranded to like this whole flamboyant wannabe fashion type thing that I'm doing now. And like, then COVID hit and then I couldn't do it anymore. I was like, fuck. Sucks so bad. I mean, I was always planning on making video games, but it was just like back in those times it was more difficult and more expensive to do. And like you have to be way smarter than I am right now. I'm like a dumbass. I just like use Blueprint and then I just like, connect the dots. That is what programming is nowadays, ladies and gentlemen. But more to the point. Um, so yeah, like this recent like string of like breakups and like mostly like on the politicized side because it's like you seldom hear about a breakup that happens unless it's like an e-drama type shit, right? And then it's like involving some sort of celebrity. So let's take an example. Again, I won't get into specifics, but it's like some really famous uh esports dude, and then a girl that he was with a girl, and then it was just like the way that she was trying to burn him, or that like, okay, actually, my bad. Let me back that up. In this specific one instance, I don't know if she went out of her way to do that, but like some guy went out of his way to burn him, but he's also like, um, and I'm saying this as a literal fact. Apparently, he's a self-proclaimed pedophile, so he, take that information with a grain of salt, obviously. And the guy like he's accusing of it, he's a pretty like decent, attractive-looking guy, and like who knows whether his words were valid, but like I find it so telling that like, okay, it's Valentine's Day. That's one example, and then there's another example. Then there's another example. Like, if I were to go through all these breakups, especially on how badly like their laundry was aired out, um, making this like a 45-hour maybe long video if I were to give everybody like at least 5 to 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Just their own little segment and be like, okay, this is how they met with this person, this with that person. It's like, again, I get into with specifics, right? So I saw this one where this guy was with a girl, and then she was showing her, um, messages and shit. And it's just like you're putting your guy in this very vulnerable state by making him see how not only you interact with people on the internet, but how you're also treated by other people on the internet. Like they don't respect that boundary that you're in a relationship with somebody. So therefore, you wouldn't be, you wouldn't choose those words to interact with that person. Yet they do, and yeah, internet drama. And I find that it's like the reason why it's like this is actually kind of petty. And believe it or not, it's the sad reality of like what money is now. Because money back in the day held value and it will hold value for a long ass time. But now, because of the adults shitting in their bed, their diapers, the bed, the proverbial societal like bedrock that supports us all, the foundation. I have a friend in Japan where like the taxes are so high, he's like making close to minimum wage, but he has like he has a university education, he has a very good job, right? If he had it over here, he may be making close to six figures, right? Which is pretty decent. So people can argue, one way or the other, but like like to see where we're headed, right? So what I'm getting at is the Netherlands suddenly created this new bill. I don't know if they passed it, where they can liquidate your assets, or sorry, your stock assets. Apparently, so if you're because they want your tax revenue basically. So you didn't make any money off of this, but your stocks are valued at like 10,000. So you gotta pay like I don't know a 30% tax. So they want like their $3,000. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Oh my god, it's like, so I have to sell my stock to give you your $3,000? Like, what is the payment period of this? Like, if it was just like a one-time taxation fee, makes, yeah, that makes some sense. Like, obviously, it's a little, underhanded. I don't know too much about stocks. I don't know how people pay their taxes on it, if they pay their taxes on it, but, just having to, like, liquidate your stock, sell it, and then pay the government, 30%. I was scratching my, chin. I'm like, what is the point of this, Netherlands? Why are you doing this to your citizens? And then I realized, like, oh my god, all these these Euro-cucked, Eurocentric, refugees welcome here. They ran the fuck out of money, dude. They're trying to take the money from not the old, like they're the generations that cause all these problems, but the generations slightly younger than them. It's so fucking evil. You know what it reminds me of? It's like those high school bullies that will bully you just for being in the younger grade. And like these fucking idiot ass adults haven't grown up from that fucking phase, and we're all seeing this play out in real time. Like the Epstein email with Bill Gates describes it the best. It's like Bill Gates asks Jeffrey Epstein's how do we kill all these poor people? How do we do it? I have so much money, but I just can't figure out how we kill all these poor people. Jeffrey, help me out here, man. As Jeffrey's like, oh, let me talk to the IDF. Yeah, that's right. We're going in. We're going in, man. Because the problem is, the adults have shot themselves. All right. No matter how they try or what they do, they can't. They can't make themselves. They can't talk their way out of this. There's just no way, man. you just you shot yourself. You're just gone. And now, We have Charlie, aka Penguin Zero, going in on the whole Mossad, um, Israeli Jeffrey Epstein connection. Hey, I support Israel, but there's a lot of questions that are being risen about this. Number one, a lot of this illegal immigration, refugees, whatever, false refugees, it benefits Israel to a very, very great degree. Like they have so much stress off of their borders, from their securities, from pretty much everything. Like it's actually kind of frightening to think about it, but being in North America, you're insulated from the whole idea of being around large concentrations and populations of people where there's just like, millions upon millions of people, hundreds of millions, if you will. Like, let's take East Asia, right? Like, Central and East Asia, it's just like, it's fucking ridiculous, right? Now, there's good and then there's bad, right? And in the case of Europe, it's 99% bad. It's really fucking bad. And what we can extract from all of this is that we are the fools being led by a drunk shepherd, a drunken shepherd, a drunken piper, if you will. And we are these, you know, coddled together, sheep who kept, falling for it over and over and over and over again. And I'm not saying to go out there and be anti-Semitic and any of that shit, but I'm just saying that, like, we should demand respect from people who use us without our permission, and also benefit a lot from this whole, like, forced migrations of basically hundreds of thousands, if not millions, if not tens, if not hundreds of millions at this point. Like, the fact that even to this day, you have politicians repeating the exact same talking points, and only now you get Hillary, Obama, who cares? Who else, really? Who cares who else? And for all those people who pointed the finger at Trump, he played you all. He wanted you to, like, hate him, so you can take a nice good look at those Epstein files, inhale it, and take a good look at who's really in there.